Today's job is to turn these plain walls into artwork, a thing of beauty. The customer design brought to life. We worked out some different designs and different patterns, and on both sides of the door, we're going to have some designs, and we're going to show it to you. And it's wide ranging. I got another wall in this house I'm going to be working on as well, and that one I don't have much video, but I'll still be showing you some things about that one. But this one, it's trim work, it's drywall, it's paint, it's electrical, it's a little bit of everything involved with this one. So let's get to work. I always start off by measuring like crazy, right? And then, any kind of drywall work, of course, has to be done first. So if I got to cut open, I got to run some electrical wire, and for anything, that's what has to be done first. All right. But I measure like crazy. I don't always get it right though. See right here, I had to end up putting the box closer to where it originally was. And so I got to patch that hole because there wasn't enough wire, it wasn't long enough. And I'm not that guy putting junction boxes inside of the wall. So, and then covering them up. But you see me measuring. Hence, that's why I said the most accurate handyman in the world. This stuff has to work out perfectly, right? I got to measure. I'm putting lights on both sides. It's like I said, it's going to be trim work. The trim is going to have a gap big enough between two sections of trim to fit another, it's like a gold strip. But you'll see what I'm talking about. Now I even take the light fixture to make sure that the top box is going to be big enough for the light fixture and that it's going to look right. It's going to be balanced. A lot of measurements get involved with this stuff, man, and accuracy. And you got to be accurate because, like right now, I'm measuring where I'm put the light fixture, and it has to be dead center of where the trim is going to be. But everything has to be planned out ahead of time. And you'd much rather have it done now, especially with the trim. You don't want to be putting trim up and it's lopsided. It just doesn't work that way. Man, look, this Magna-Pull system, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but this is an insulated wall right here. So I hear a lot of people say that they struggle pulling through insulation. It might struggle a little bit, but it ain't a miracle worker. You got to make it work for you. But I know it worked for me, pulling wire through insulation. So that Magna-Pull system, worth its weight in gold, man. It saved me from having to cut so many holes and patch so much drywall. Look at that. Boom. Pull that right through. And it's packed with insulation in there and foam. So just wanted to show you guys that. Also, I'm not the guy that goes into detail about electrical. I feel like I leave that to the guys like Dustin, or, I think you watch his channel all the time over at Electrician U. They give you master electrician, man, give you much better details and explanations on everything. I get it, because I actually had a lot of experience, even in high school, doing electrical work. So I like doing it. I do quite a bit of it. This is the other wall that I was talking about earlier. It's the big plain wall. I have started on it already. There's going to be a large electrical fireplace on the bottom. Those little fancy electric fireplaces. A waterfall in the middle up higher, and there's going to be two sconce style lights, just like at the front door. I write all over the walls. It's like a beautiful mind. I love to. And guess what? I love opening that wall up, because you see at that bottom, open that wall up, and there's two water lines and a huge drain in there. So, but I got to run wire. I like to run them the same place where they originally run the wire, so it makes it a little easier. Right here, this is one of those situations where your equipment sometimes will lie to you, tells lies, all right? I use my stud finder because, sometimes I know what you're thinking. Oh, you didn't know there was a header over top of it? Yeah, I knew it was a header, but sometimes it's not always a solid header over top of the door. It's just not. I worked in enough houses to know. And then I open this up. And the thing was, I used a stud finder, right? And my stud finder told me that there were studs there. There wasn't a solid header. So, and these stud finders are great. I'm not going to go and say that and bash them and say that they're terrible stud finders. But look right here. It says there's a stud there. Stud there. See that? So over top, so there's a stud there, and that there's a stud there. It does not tell me that there's a solid piece of wood in that wall, and that surprised me. So what it ultimately meant is that I had to go higher. I had to now I had to take the wire above the header, which is just more work, and it's just, so I'm looking like, okay. So, but what are you gonna do? Not do it? The work still has to get done. I'm just mad because I understand that, we all have technology, but sometimes we get too caught up in the technology, right? I know that there's solid headers, and in this case, it should have been a solid header because, man, it's a 2-story foyer, right? But I just went with what the gadget told me. Sometimes, if I would have just knocked on that wall, I'd have been like, yeah, you know what? Different design. But it's not an issue. I just got to plug that up. It's just, like I said, it's a little bit more work. But it's no big deal. To me, it's like I said, it's all about what I was talking about earlier. It's about the thumbnail. The thumbnail on this video says Mr. Exact and Precise. And that's actually a name my father used to call me when I was a kid, because I was that kid, man. I was that kid that would hold you to exactly what you said, word for word. Like, think about something like, you could say, for example, go to your room, right? You go to your room, then later on they see you out of your room just hanging out. Like, I told you to go to your room. It's like, oh, you wanted me to stay there. Okay, I went there, but I didn't know you wanted me to stay. You know what I mean? Exact and precise. Right? Now, it wasn't really useful in those situations with Pops, but it definitely comes in handy in the handyman business. And when I say, hey, the most accurate handyman in the world, you could be that too, right? That's just how I feel. But there ain't nothing stopping you from doing the same thing. I'm not doing anything that's like, impossible out here. I'm just really focused on accuracy. And this drywall, to me, this is a wide open foyer area. It's a lot of light. I don't want to see any imperfections in the drywall, right? It's just what it is. The difference, think about it. What is a specialist except somebody who's had a lot of training, a lot of practice at what they do, and is confident that they can do anything that comes up in that area. That's all a specialist is. A lot of you are, have ability in something where you could specialize or, do the harder work. I know what I do. You're talking about the handyman business or contracting. It really comes down to the confidence you have in your ability to take measurements, make consistent cuts. It's like knowing your tools, knowing how to do things, and all this comes with practice. It's just practice, and then having the confidence in yourself to finally know, you're good enough. That's it. You're good enough. And sometimes somebody else has to tell you. Sometimes you got to tell yourself. But I know that's what with me. It was just I was at a point where it's like, you can't tell me that I ain't good enough. You can't tell me that I'm not the most accurate handyman on planet Earth. All right? And I just say it like that because I'm confident like that. But that doesn't mean you're not. You could be just as confident. It's just, do you believe in yourself? I believe in you, even if you don't. I know sometimes it's difficult because jobs like these, you see the bread pan, got that hot mud, man, getting that tape and hot mud going. But these jobs, it can be tough because, it's going to test your confidence because these jobs are going to be on display. All right. So people are going to scrutinize every little thing about them because they're on display and they want to show them off to their friends. But I love it, man. I'm up for the challenge. So this is what I love to do. By the way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. hit the like button. Also, leave a comment. I stay in the comments. I love to engage with other people and just trade ideas and thoughts and maybe, hey, somebody might let me know something that I could do a little better or whatever. Somebody has a question. That's what this thing's all about, man. Handyman 2.0, the next level. Back to the other wall for a second. Now you see I've made a whole lot of progress. I put that fireplace up. I moved the outlets that were under the fireplace. I moved them up. We talked about it. We decided I'm gonna trim out around the fireplace just like I did around the waterfall. And the waterfall, that turned out to be a whole thing because it has 2 pumps and LED lighting. So I had to put basically 2 recessed outlets and a regular outlet behind it. And then it doesn't have a switch to turn the waterfall on. So then I had to end up putting a switch on the side of it to turn it on. And then of course I got those 2 wall lights up there, and then the switch to those is off to your right. So it's coming together well. But then we discussed she still wanted it to pop more. So we got this idea about some shell tile, and let me tell you something, the wall pops after I added that. So you'll see that a little later. The completed job is fantastic as far as I'm concerned, but I like things that are a little different than the norm. So I get that trim work going. Like I said, it's about the consistent cuts, knowing your saw, knowing your setup. I got my stop block set up, which is one of these days, I'll make a video on that. Even though I'm outside, I still use the vacuum. Somebody in the comment before said that they heard something about termites. Now, I always use a vacuum even when I'm outside, if I'm gonna do a lot. If it's just like 1 or 2 cuts, I'm not gonna worry about it. But if it's a lot, I still always use a vacuum even when I'm in somebody's yard. And I didn't know that though. So, hey, seems like a good idea, if you can prevent your customers from possibly getting termites. Seems like a win. All right, the trim design is, we got a piece of molding going around the outside. Then we put our base cap molding on the inside, but turned around so that the flat side is facing inward. And we leave about a 1/2 inch gap between the 2 pieces of trim. That's gonna allow the customer had the designs of something that she saw on Pinterest, where we could put some kind of flashy metal strip inside of there and it make it pop, and it does. Believe it or not. So always, when it's necessary, always glue up your corners, just like I said, this is all pre-planned though. Everywhere where this trim is going was, when I was measuring in the beginning, this is where I had it going. I had it all marked out, all measured, everything to match the other side, the heights, everything. Everything was already pre-planned. Makes things much easier than trying to do everything on the whim. Even though I do a lot of jobs where, as we go, as I do when I deal with the customers, I let them alter their design. We don't have to stick to it exactly As long as it's nothing, I gotta tear a whole bunch of stuff out. We can keep, it's almost like it just keeps evolving as we go. So it's interesting to me. And to make sure that 1/2 inch gap was right, I actually took a little piece of the metal trimming that's going to go inside of there and put it in each quarter and just drew the line out. And I used that to measure the inside trim, right? And I gave it a little extra. I mean, you don't want it too tight. You do it too tight, it just might be a spot or two where it's just going to be a problem. So just give it a little extra, and visually you won't even be able to see it. So. Also, notice the drywall. Like I said, drywall is already repaired, painted. Shout out to Sherwin-Williams, man. Like, whatever kind of technology of paint matching they have, it's incredible. Because I thought that this foyer was going to be so, it's over so much time, it would be faded and everything. The paint, man, it matched it perfectly. And yes, I can cut in. Like I said, practice makes perfect. Also, a nice little stiff paintbrush goes a long way. But another one of those things, man. Practice them cut-ins. I practice till I got good at it. I'll show you one of these days. I do my first job doing cut-ins. Oh, it's horrendous. And I still have evidence because I haven't repainted it yet. But there's that trim right there, and you'll see in a second. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it and put it in. Now, because it was already painted, I went ahead and sanded inside of there to give it a rough surface to adhere to. And you know what was crazy? This little metal strip, man, I used everything I could, everything I had at first to try to cut this thing. And without it looking crazy. And nothing worked. Aviation snips, like nothing worked to cut this thing, except I had a pair of these scissors. I think Wiss is the company. I don't know if you say it Wiss, but they sell them at Home Depot. It's like a heavy duty scissors. Man, cut through it like butter. I fell in love, man. I'll put it in the description, the link in the description, but them things are wonderful. Now there we go. There's a final look at that other wall I was talking about. Ended up trimming around both, and that mother of pearl tile, man, shell tile. It came out glorious. And this tile, it ain't peeling the stick, man. I had the mortar, mud, and grout and everything. So it's the real deal. Y'all, you gotta like, comment, and subscribe, man. We're taking it to another level over here. And just like the gold trim in the front, we trimmed the chrome around the inside of the trim just to make it give that even extra that pop. Like this wall is just meant to be like a super feature. So then let me take you up to the front. You can see the final trim around the front with that gold trim in there and those lights. And I don't know where this lady comes up with some of these light fixtures and stuff, man, but I love it. So stay safe, be blessed, and remember, if the trades don't work, nothing else does.